Hello guys and welcome to another episode of Cuboid Sandbox. Now in this episode we've got a scenario here with 3 different species, races, factions, and then this landscape. So, let's just start off by setting the scene. On a Federation homeworld, the rebels launch an attack in a highly populated city, currently being ripped to shreds by the Kael Ha vicious alien race. So, 3 factions there. The blues are the Federation, or also known as the Alliance of Omnists. They are comprised of the very, very wealthy upper class and large killing machines. Slow, but large. Now, the reds are the rebels. And as with all success, you have people trying to ruin it. So, the rebels are a gang known as the Stingers, which are just being a plague to the Empire recently, and are trying to overthrow this city. And then what we've got left is the Yellows. These are an alien race known as the Kael Ha. Kael Ha being plural, of course. So, known to the rebels as Kalians, known to the Federation as the Kael Ha. These guys plague this planet, though they aren't trying to dominate it. They're just like any other animal race trying to survive. So let's start off. Got a couple there, and a couple actually in the city. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then finally the rebellion. Okie dokie then. Good. Let's see them start off. Now, so let's go into info and see what's going on. I don't know what the average creature energy is. Honestly, I don't know what that means, or the food energy. Now, let's see here. Type O. Those are blues, aren't they? No, they're yellow. Red? I think they're red. Yeah, it's red, yellow, blue. Okay then, so the rebellion is comprised of 30%. Oh, they're pretty even actually. 30, 30, 30. Okay, so the Kael Ha are taking the lead. Honestly, they're the ones I'm rooting for. I love alien populations in general, and we have automatic food spawn set up so that the city will continue to replenish itself. And I found out there's a certain amount of food that can be on the board at one time, so that's interesting. The feds are starting to deplete the resources at their base, but very slowly. Otherwise, they've got some sort of a presence in the northern half of the city, fighting a small alien nest. And then the rebels are just kind of moving about in the south. Now, eventually, I will start to actually voice some of these people, and I'm hoping to turn this into a big thing with more factions and such. So if you like this, then please tell me, because it was honestly fun to think up this scenario in the first place. And it looks like the Federation are about to cut off. Actually, oh no, the rebels emptied off the first couple of stalks, but the Federation are probably going to cut off that. Right there, that is their gateway into the city. Oh nope, they've just made another one, but if they do, yep, now that that's gone, there's no food for them to get into the city. They have to make another living. And we've got automatic food spawn on, so more food should be spawning eventually. But it looks like the Federation might just die out in their base. And wouldn't that be a shame? The Kael Ha and the Stingers are having a turf war over here, as the Kael are slowly eating up what resources they have. Honestly, you'd think that automatic food spawn isn't on, considering there's not much food spawning. But the Kael definitely have their influence spread across. The rebellion down here are on their last resupply, and that'll be it. Oh, by the way, the Kael have nests rebels, the Stingers, have resupply, and the Feds have just, I don't know, places to eat and stuff. Just normal things. Holy crap. This is loud on my end. And a mass extinction of Kyle. They're back down to 30, but the Feds are gone. I think that eliminated the Feds. There's one solitary member of the Allegiance of Omnists left. Nope. Oh. Yes. 2. Okay. They are starting to rebuild the empire that they once had. Over here in the middle of Kalian territory. It's really died down. There's not, like, everyone right now is just trying. Oh no. Up here we've got another Kalian Stinger war, as the Kalians are scrounging up what little food they can. A Kyle is definitely not something you want to go up against, especially as, imagine being a person, like, maybe on a motorbike or something, but just a human going up against a large alien with, like, giant spikes coming off of its back, just arching claws. But it seems that without a nest, the Kyle are going to die out real quickly here. Oh no, they're about to reach one of their other nests, and they've already got it starting to be populated. But really, it's the Stingers that are winning the population race, and they've got food aplenty all over the place. The Kyle are populated down here, and the Federation, the Alliance is still holding off for as little as possible, for as long as possible. Oh no. Oh. Luckily, their colony is out pretty much in dead space, so there's really nothing that anyone's going to, like, no one's going to come and attack them. They just can't stray too far from the base. Though the Stingers are fighting them. Holy crap, no, that's the last 2. Oh, the Federation was eliminated. We'll see if any of the rebellion defect as a mass starvation comes out. The rebellion really didn't think this through, that after they were going to destroy the Federation, what did they have? There was very little in this town to eat in the first place. And now with the main suppliers of food dead, what are you supposed to do? The aliens are loving it though. They are really good at picking off scraps and such, so they can survive in low conditions. Though their nests are located very far away from where they are, so this might be a little hard. Oh, just as I was about to say, oh, that looks like a large part of the rebels that are going to starve off. Another one comes up. But, okay, no. Another Kyle rebel war. That's really what's been going on. It's been the aliens versus the rebels, which I'm totally fine with. Okay. And it looks like that's the end of the rebellious food source there. If they can make it, they've got a much better chance of survival. One makes it, but not very many. Just 1 and 2. That would hurt the population of the Stingers a ton if they hadn't established a base on the north as well. The Stingers are very spread out, as the Kyle are very, very much in one area only. Like right here, this place is going to be the next Kyle breeding ground. I remember the landscape as it was a long time ago. There were Kyle breeding grounds all over the place before the Federation took this one over. Back then, the rebels they didn't even exist. Everyone in the Federation was happy. The Stingers weren't even a gang back then. It was lovely times. Who would have thought that not armed as much as the war mechs the Alliance had, and definitely not trained as well, the Stingers could have won just off of mere population advantage, but here goes a ton of them. Out of food. There's no more aliens in this sector to even hunt down. They've got nothing. They found an old safe shop somewhere that they could buy things that the Federation used to be in. Though it's definitely hard there. Some are even thinking of defecting back into the Federation, just because they didn't have to scavenge as much. It was much easier. As more and more die off, the rebels die in just tens. I would say hundreds, but there's only 100 of them. But they die off in tens, which is pretty big in this scenario. The few rebel southern colonies are doing okay, but they're really mainly just here to spy on the Kai-El-Ha, because the Kai-El-Ha are definitely look at this, just colonies everywhere over here, and the Kai-El-Ha are slowly moving towards the equator of the town. The rebellion in the north are all gone at this point. Everything, all city is located near the equator and in the south, with small turf wars up in the north where people dared to go in the old Federation remains. But just like that, some of the rebellions veer off and decide to join the Federation. We have no idea if this rebellion of a rebellion will get squashed quickly. They instantly start fighting with their counterparts. It doesn't look good for them. Just like the rebellions did at the very beginning of this war with the Federation, it seems that the new Federation initiates bit off a lot more than they could chew. Next time, if they do try this again, they'll need to do it at a much stealthier approach, as the rebels go and take off all of them. Being a rebellion themselves, they know how to quickly extinguish rebellious movements against them, flocking to what few resources they can in time of need. But down in the south, a large Kai-El extinction. Not a single Kai-El lived, except for the very, very southern colonies, in which they're still fighting the Stingers. However, the Stinger source is much smaller than the Kai-El source down here, but it doesn't look like this colony will lead to anything in the Kai-El future, whereas the northern colony has been taken off and flourishing. But it looks like it might be out of time. Oh no, one small pylon of food, 2 small pylons of food, 3, okay. So the alien nests are still holding up in the north, luckily. It's definitely hard though, as the aliens are catching up to the rebellion population. The northwest has become a far more populated area than anyone thought it would be back when the rebellion was there, and the Kai-El-Ha completely destroy the Stinger base down in the south, and it looks like none will make it into another safe shop. Whereas far in the southwest, the Stingers are using what little food they have to keep themselves alive. And around the equator, in the north, there are very few Stinger colonies left, as they fight off the Kai-El-Ha, which their northern colonies just completely ran dry, and they're going to have to start moving towards the mid-ridge and then back up to the north again. The city has definitely changed since when the war first began. There used to actually be definition to a city like this. Now alien nests are everywhere. The rebels are scavenging everything to the point where it's hard to find new scrap in a once flourishing city. And the rebellion and the alliance no longer even exist. The once rich entrepreneurs that lived here are now completely squandered. It was once a great place. The Stingers are making use of the wreckages of the old base, and are definitely taking a liking to this, especially because not only can they salvage what they could from the mechanical beings of the Allegiance, also with all of the prior alien nests there's much to eat, as they crush out one final alien nest. As far as the Kai-El-Ha go, there's not much left for them. As far as the rebels are concerned, the Kalian assault is just far too much to deal with, but the lack of food is even worse, as it seems, and the northern colony dies out for a northeastern colony, which is good. A lot of people say that there's much more use in the northeast than the northwest, but in the equator there's a large skirmish, or a small skirmish, going on between the Kyle Ha and the Stingers, though the Kyle Ha are sending in what men they had from one of their older southern outposts. And down at the bottom it looks like another large war is going on. As the Kyle Ha become more and more used to these human ways, they're thinking about starting a federation of their own, though it's not looking likely. In the equator, it seems some of the rebellion and some of the Kyle Ha are working together to try to restart this large army, but they need to sneak away. One Kyle Ha proposes to build it up in the northwest like it used to be. It seems that but with the looming threat of the rebels over in the northeast, he is unsure. They decide to go for it. And then, what is this? This is the third alliance that was reborn. We'll see what happens. The small Kyle Ha resistance in the north, well technically it was just one Kyle, in the north was completely destroyed, as taken over by the rebellion. Not the rebellion of order. The anti-rebellion. And that was the last of the Kyle Ha. They completely switched into this... they completely switched into the new federation. But the Stingers have just been thriving so well on the ruins of this city. It was once so great, so just imagine now what they can find. More than they've found on any other planet thus far. Than any other city on any other planet thus far. It's ridiculous. They're ready to scour the rest of the planet. But it's hard. It's hard to try and take down an entire planet. Don't you agree? The new federation is slowly choking out the Stinger presence in the northwest, as hopes that they won't communicate back to the northeast, to the entire eastern hemisphere of the town. Though some do survive, and a western hemisphere is now starting to look more and more rebellion. It's almost unfair. The Federation worked far too long for this as they go and attack another group of rebels. Doesn't seem to be enough though, as the rebels continue to split and push off to their to more ruins that the Federation just continues to make. The Alliance. I should continue calling them the Alliance and not the Federation. The Feds. Technically, the rebels are calling them the Feds throughout all of this. The Feds, the Kalians. And that looks like it's it. The Feds have nowhere to go. Except they did start a center base. This is interesting. If they can continue to repopulate from here, perhaps the Alliance isn't lost. As for the rest of them in the Western Hemisphere, it looks like they've completely gone out there. And we are left with very few. We are left with very few of the Alliance. And it looks like the Stingers won't have any problem taking this down. Just completely destroying cities. The next city they move on to will be twice as hard to take, though, as it seems that the next city won't be occupied by Federation. I wonder who will occupy the next city, though. It's always a question. Though the rebellion believes they can fight them all. I mean, they took out an entire Alliance outpost. What else do they need? The Alliance survive as two people up here, and are about to devolve back into aliens, unfortunately. it seems as though the few alien members of the Alliance have decided that maybe they should go back into alienhood. It was easier then. But it's unknown if they'll die out first. The Stingers are slowly amassing to 200 population. And by slowly, I mean quite rapidly. They're actually doing it fairly quickly. But an extinction starts going off in what I believe is the north. Northern extinctions have been common because, as you will know, the city was very, very well defended in the north. Perhaps someone tripped an old defense alarm from the Federation base a long time ago. But it doesn't look like it matters, as the Stingers completely take the city. It looks like that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and now we watch as the rebels, the Stingers, completely drain this place of all resource they can use, and then begin to move on to the next city. Who will it be? If you guys have an idea for a faction, please leave it in the comments, message me, and it might show up on this show. And the way this format is going to work is that every time I do a Cuboid Sandbox video, the winner of the video will be featured in the next one. So the Stingers will be making a comeback for a completely different city, or town, or perhaps even a planet. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was definitely fun for me to watch and make, because I did make this entire scenario. I'm not gonna say it was planned out, but this entire scenario, who the factions were, how the beginning was going to be set up, was done by me earlier today. And as the last 100 of the rebel population die off, we look at a very, very barren city that there once was. The dispersion of the rebellion of the Russians. The dispersion of the rebellions has left the city a ghost town. Thank you guys for watching, and I will be back soon for another episode of Cuboid Sandbox.